Hi guys, I'm Amanda the Botanical Brunette, and welcome to my channel. We are going to be talking about something today that I have super mixed feelings about. It's become like kind of a lifestyle for some people, and that's using Leca. I saw this a couple months ago kind of going crazy, going rampant, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. That sounds super cool. Like, you get to grow plants in water and these little clay balls. That's awesome. That's really cool. So I went on Amazon and I bought some clay balls and I watched 100 YouTube videos on how to convert some plants into passive hydroponics or semi-hydroponics or whatever you want to call it. And I was living that soil-free or sort of soil-free lifestyle for a while for some of my plants. And I have some mixed feelings about it. After a few months of doing it, I still have a few plants that are in Leca, but I don't think I would ever be able to convert them without killing them completely. And I'll get into that a little bit in a minute. But before I get into that, please like and subscribe and share this video. Thank you guys so much for all of your support so far. I love you all so much. Let's get into it. What is Leca? Leca is an expanded clay ball that basically is like a super porous. It kind of reminds me of that material that is inside a Whopper, not like the burger, but like the candy. It's almost like a malted milk ball. That's what it's called, malted milk ball. It kind of has that like hard but spongy texture to it. It's obviously harder than a malted milk ball, and it looks like a Cocoa Puff. So this is what the Leca looks like. So it looks like a little, focus on the ball. It's like a little clay ball. That's what it is. And you can get them in brown. I've seen them in black. I've seen them in white. I've even seen like blue and pink. I don't know if those are a different kind or whatever, but I got the standard brown kind. Basically what you do is when you start Leca, you're supposed to boil the balls or let them soak overnight. I let them soak overnight. I found that you don't have to boil them unless they are used, because it's basically like boiling off any kind of like bacteria. So after watching all these YouTube videos and seeing like people's reaction to Leca and all that stuff, I was like, all right, let's do it. And one thing that they told me to do, which I will tell you guys now, if you want to start doing it, please start small. Pick a plant that you don't care about and start with that plant, because some plants don't do well becoming a semi-hydroponic plant. Sometimes plants won't convert very well. So you'll have to kind of pick a plant that you don't love or you absolutely are not like in love with. Not like, you know, me, where I planted my Syngonium Albo, which I don't want to talk about that. So you take these clay balls and you put them in a glass jar or anything that's not drainage, obviously, because you're filling it with water essentially. And then you put the plant in. And the plant grows just like it does in soil. The cool part about Leca is you'll see the roots kind of grow through, and you'll kind of be able to see its progress, like where you can't in soil unless you pull it out of the soil. So I think that is actually kind of cool. Once you get a plant converted, it just kind of stays there. So I'm gonna talk about my likes about Leca. There's not a lot of them, but I don't want to be negative. There are some things that I do like, and that is the fact that yes, they do get rid of soil gnats because it's not soil. And I've actually found that they actually go into the water and they die. So win-win for me, because I'm getting rid of them kind of in a way. The soil gnats are kind of at bay when you have like soil free. So that's a great advantage. Another advantage that I just mentioned was you can actually see the plant grow through the jar, especially if you have it in a glass jar or a clear medium. You'll be able to see the roots kind of grow. And that's actually pretty interesting to kind of see that, because again, you don't see that in the soil unless you pull it out and you rinse off the roots, which that's a hard time for all those plants. So you don't want to do that. And plus, you don't want to be draining all that dirt down your drains anyway, either. Another advantage that I love about Leca is that it is recyclable. So if you do have a Leca fail, I like the idea that you can boil the Leca balls, basically disinfecting them. You can disinfect the medium and reuse it, where if you have a plant that dies a horrible death or had some kind of disease or anything in a soil medium, you can't repot that. You can't reuse that soil. You have to throw it out. Not that soil isn't, I mean, soil is part of the earth, but it's also kind of cool that you can reuse that and not have to waste more money. I mean, I don't know how much money I have thrown away in soil. So I like the idea that you can reuse the Leca pods. Those are kind of cool. I do like the fact that it is self-watering. Every few weeks or a week or two, just make sure that you rinse everything off and refill the jar of water until the Leca balls start to float. That's what I've been told. So do that. Easy peasy, super, you know, you don't have to worry about watering the plant. You know, I fill these up every few weeks and they do great. Now my dislikes of Leca. Like I've said before, they like to tell you to start small and start with a plant that you don't love. Well, naturally, I don't listen to that, and I started with my Syngonium Albo. Long story short, I was actually water propagating a pretty large stem of my Syngonium Albo, and I was like, well, let me put some Leca in there and like see what happens. Then it started growing roots and I got excited, so I just left it in there. Well, I didn't know that the conversion process is just as hard if you have a plant in Leca and you put it in soil. It is almost even harder to put it back in soil. It just doesn't like it. And that was a hard thing for me because I lost a majority of that plant because I was a dummy and I decided to start off with my most expensive and rare plant that I have. I decided to start off with that one. So that, shame on me. But I do still have a part of that Syngonium Albo that I kept in water with Leca, and you can kind of see the roots that are growing through there. Again, that's actually pretty cool. Like, I like the fact that you can see it. Also, just me, it's just a preference, but I love, as you can see behind me, I love white pots. You know, I don't really love the look of it. I did at first, but not mixed in with everything. I kind of now put that on a separate shelf, and then my other Leca plants are in my bedroom. Another disadvantage that I don't like about Leca would be with, you know, me kind of destroying my Syngonium with Leca and doing all that. I decided to, why not kick myself while I'm down and do my Monstera. I've seen a lot of like Monsteras in Leca, so let me try it. Why not? Well, this is my case of a plant not being able to convert back into soil. So this, look at those roots. I mean, come on. So this is my Monstera, and this is like a juvenile part of the plant behind me. So the Monstera behind me. This is like one of the babies. You will notice that it started to like yellow, like on the, here, I'll move this closer. You notice that it started to like yellow, like on the tips. So I had this in Leca about the same amount of time as I did with the Syngonium. So the Syngonium was actually right next to it, and they were planted at the same time and living their lives, growing great roots and having a good time. Well, I kind of started not to like the Leca anymore, and I was like, I don't really want like these plants everywhere. So I decided to put it back in the Monstera, and it just declined. Like, it got droopy, it got yellow. I actually cut one full, like, disgusting plant off. Like, it was just not okay. And so I immediately had to put it back in Leca because, like, it bounced right back, and like it's growing a bunch of like aerial roots now, and it's just living its life. So why mess with it? You know, I have only 3 plants that I have left out of, I think, 10 plants that I had in Leca. So, and the other plants died. Another disadvantage of Leca that I don't like is I don't like the fact that you have to mix up this concoction of a nutrient water. So when you have a plant like you can't just, I mean you can, but it won't last very long. But you shouldn't just put a plant in water and let it grow. It needs some kind of nutrients. Water doesn't really have any nutrients in it. So especially if you're filtering everything out like I do, these plants are not going to have any kind of nutrients. So you have to mix up this nutrient water. If you're really trying to do it right, you have to get this like pH kit and make sure that the pH of your water is correct for the plant. It is such a hassle. It's not just as easy as I said before. It isn't just as easy as rinsing out the pot, rinsing off, you know, the plant and all the Leca and putting it together, and you're great. You just fill it up and you're good. It's not that simple. You do have to make a nutrient water, make sure the pH is correct. It's a bit of a hassle, to be honest. You don't have to do that with soil, so I kind of don't like that. And again, I only have 3 plants that are now in there, so I only have to really deal with that. But when I had like 10 plants, it was such a freaking hassle. Like, I just was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So another disadvantage that I don't like about Leca, and it's a very small and minuscule and dumb disadvantage, but if you've had this problem or if this has happened to you, you know the struggle. When you're potting a plant in soil, if you spill a little bit of soil on the ground, you sweep it up. Totally fine. When you spill a little bit of Leca, it goes everywhere. And I'm talking everywhere. It's like a bag of marbles. It will just roll all over your house, and they are very shocking when you step on one. It's like you stepped on a crunchy bug or something. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that like they are very messy. Like, it is super messy. Not only are you having like the science experiment on how to like measure the water correctly, but now you have these round clay balls all over your house. It's such a, it's honestly a big hassle for me, and I personally don't love it. I do know a lot of people who have Leca in their house and they absolutely like it. Okay, but not for me. Not for me. That's just my personal opinion. I will still keep my plants that I have in Leca still in Leca because I have no choice. But they're living their lives. They're doing good in the mediums, and yeah. I want to know like your guys' I want to know what your guys' experience is with Leca and semi-hydroponics, passive hydroponics, what have you. I want to know like in the comments, like how have you been with it? Have you like, do you absolutely love it? Because there's people out there who like, it's like their lifestyle now is soil free. So I'm just like, you know, like let me know like in the comments like what's great about it. Maybe there's something that I'm missing that I just don't get. Again, please like and subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I will see you guys next week. I hope you guys all have a great day, and